everybody. How lovely to see you all. We're nearly done.
We are nearly done at the end of your long day. Thank you for tolerating us at the very end.
Well, they haven't tolerated us
No, they
yet.
haven't.
It's a pre-thanks. It's going to be weird talking to you for 20 minutes without having to read out an advert for NordVPN.
I quite agree, yes. And the live version of it, yes, in case anything goes wrong, you won't be able to catch me on the legals. But let's keep it between ourselves.
Yeah. No one say anything. It's been a wonderful day. Genuinely, everyone was most excited about Golden Balls, which is what I call a Mulrajan. But what we're going to do, I think, we're going to go through session by session and just talk about each one. We might spend a tiny bit longer on the Channel 4 session than the others.
It was wonderful to have a shout-out. It's
always lovely to get a shout-out.
Always to get a mensch. Yeah.
It's nice to get a mensch. So Ted Sarandos kicked us off this morning.
He did. Yes, I thought it was a very interesting session. It was a very interesting keynote. He loves Britain. He wants to look after Britain.
That was reassuring, wasn't it?
Quick mention that he has 10% of the TV market and like 25% in 2 years. But otherwise, he loves you guys.
But he had a very good, because listen, we've all been in the business a long time, and by and large we're fuckwits. We don't really know what we're doing, and he knows how to turn 10% into 25%.
Oh yes.
So that was the great takeaway. He said, by creating programs people love. Yeah.
When they say it out loud, it's simple, isn't it?
You think some of the terrible stuff we've been coming up with over the years. That's all we need to do. I wasn't actually here for his session. I'm gonna binge the whole thing at the weekend, I think. But yeah, I missed it. Do you know what? We've spoken about baby reindeer before, and we spoke about the baby reindeer controversy on the podcast. It's a local issue.
It's a local issue.
It's a local issue. But this
compliance is a local issue.
Compliance
it's just
is a
thing the
local
Brits
issue.
do.
But it was nice that he finally put it to bed.
Yeah.
Because obviously we would still say that there's a duty of care there, that perhaps it should have said some of the stuff in this was made up. And certainly if you've been at the BBC, they would have said that. Certainly if Tim Davie had put this out, he probably would have been fired. But it was nice and you know what, and rightly so. It's about time someone fired that guy. But it was nice that Ted said, actually, I can't believe you're still talking about it, it's fine. I didn't quite catch the reason it was fine, but it's nice to know that it is fine.
I think it's better if you just look at all the posters. Like, I liked all the posters outside about all the investment. Are you allowed to say that the profits do actually all go back to the US? I quite like it because it's a little bit like being sort of India in the days of the British Empire. It's like, they've given us some railways in the game of cricket, and they're just going to siphon out the profits and go and build Victorian England with it. But that's what Netflix is British empiring us, and I think there's a certain amount of poetic justice to that. I'm the first person to say, by the way, I think that, this should be, perhaps we had it coming.
And sort of true, isn't it? And we did kind of welcome them in.
Yeah. If you invite them in,
yeah.
It's like the vampire. Yeah, if you invite them in, if you let the wrong one in.
In his defence, he did mention the Thursday Murder Club, so that was nice.
Yes, he's been to the set of the Thursday Murder Club.
Yeah, he mentioned that. So that's, but that was my favourite bit of his speech, I have to say. and he didn't say, and I'm shutting it down. Yeah,
no, so today's a win. Yet.
Yeah. He hasn't said it yet. And there he is. Oh, no, I tell a lie. He left about 14 hours ago. He is no longer with them. So that was Ted. Then Tim Davie, do you know him?
Tim Davie, I'm aware of his work. You can't say the BBC doesn't open itself to some tough criticism.
I mean, Jesus. Leave the guy alone, Amol.
What about... The question that most intrigued me was, will Hugh Edwards work for the BBC again? And when he said no, why not? Do you have access to the news, Amol? Have you seen it? I thought it was a trick question, so I was waiting for the next bit, but no. I think it was just a,
It was almost like he was affronted.
Yeah.
Like, why not? He's a fucking mate of mine, Hugh.
Fuck off.
You're not having him... Honestly, I've been on the blower to him. He's gutted.
But Tim Davie's got one of those jobs where you're just... the weariness of having to think, he said, I have to have an opinion on everything. And that feeling where, I would really rather not make news. There's a lot of news about the BBC today. I would really like not make some more news while I'm sitting here.
There's a guy that whenever the phone rings at 11 p.m, it's just like, oh, come on, who is it now? I remember we had a host one for Deal or No Deal before we gave the show to Noel Edmonds for good or ill. History will judge us. But before we had another presenter who'd been through troubled times, and we thought he'd be great. And Tim Hinks, who I ran Endemol with, said he'd be great because every time the phone rings in the studio, this is a guy who's used to getting bad news. So what I'm saying is Tim Davie would be a great host.
He's used to it, but I felt, yes, I sympathise.
Also, Amol spent he kept saying, I just have to do this very quickly, then we'll get on to the important stuff. And I think he did 14 minutes on Hugh Edwards.
I have a tight 22 minutes of full frontal attack on this.
And then when he said, now we'll get on to the more important stuff, he said, so, Jermaine Genus. There was no Genus stuff.
There was no Genus. That's gone away, really.
Yeah.
What's happened? Again, I mean, legally, just don't write any of this. But what's happened?
Yeah. What's going on there?
Where's it? The air has been sucked out of it.
Someone will know.
It'll come back in like a backdraft, and the whole thing will blow again.
He did Strictly, at least. He had to go at Strictly. They asked me to do Strictly this year.
Have they?
How
many times have you been asked?
Oh, like always. I always say I don't have time to do all the training and have the affair. And now also I fear for my safety. So
yeah,
it's
course.
like
I'm a pacifist. I can't.
There's so many reasons. But I thought he put up a good fight, Tim Davie, against Amol. The BBC are so funny when they talk to each other.
Yeah.
Literally they're like attack dogs. And like Tim's just like, come on, man. And you get an Amol as well, but he's got the University Challenge gig. He doesn't care less, does he, Amol? He's there for the next 40 years.
It's a little bit like that bit in The Princess Bride where they're having fights, but they're complimenting each other on how good they are, because he has to say, and I just want to say that in all the time that, I've had all the Director Generals, they've always let me ask all my questions. Yeah, thanks, So you're sort of watching that fight, but forever. And of course, Tim Davie was asked about which chairman, how he felt about both as chairmen. We'll come to Richard Sharp's take on that particular answer a bit later, because he was in the afternoon.
Yes, he was in the afternoon. He was also, Tim, what was I going to say about Tim? Oh, no, I was going to say something very, very libelous, which I am not going to say.
That's great. I love this catching yourself that you're doing. This is
sometimes
in a live situation, you have to catch yourself.
Because when we do the podcast, our lovely producer can just edit stuff out.
Yeah, we're not in that situation.
So that thing Marina just said about Guy Ritchie? Maybe we lose the second half of that, I think.
But there's a lot of posters out there for the gentleman, and indeed a costume for Kaya Exposition, which I enjoyed. Now, Stephen Knight was next.
Yes, Stephen Knight, who I love. Now,
favourite new mogul just dropped. I very much enjoyed hearing all about his plans.
He was very cool, isn't he? His daughter, my daughter, not his daughter. I mean, which of us knows? You saw the guy, he looked very effective.
Very busy.
Yeah, my daughter and his son once lived together for a year abroad. So I was literally like one bottle of WKD away from spending Christmas with Stephen Knight.
That would have been great.
Yeah. His son is lovely. I've not met Stephen, but he seems delightful. His son, I can tell you, is lovely. If you wanted an exclusive to take away from today, it is that.
You've made some news. That will be on a headline.
So if at the end of this session, John McVeigh was going to ask a question about whether Stephen Knight's son is lovely, you do not need to ask that question anymore. Yeah. And by the way, Strepsils for John McVeigh, please, at the end of the day. You are put in a shift. It's very impressive.
Yes, that will now be a headline, which I hope. Although the first headline when I saw this morning when I was walking in was already on broadcast about this RTS conference. And I just thought, is this the media landscape summed up between two semicolons? It was, Netflix signs first look deal with Richard Gadd, ITV orders more Wheel of Fortune, CBeebies to reboot Balamory. I just thought, well, that about covers it, doesn't it?
That is a good news, isn't it?
That was
one thing as a TV geek, to have Stephen Knight's on stage for 25 minutes, whatever it was. Imagine inventing Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and you can do 25 minutes and not even have to mention it. Yeah. If anyone here had invented Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, you'd hear nothing else for the rest of your life. Do you know who he invented?
I did know he invented, yeah.
That's quite cool, isn't it?
It's just amazing. Yeah, I love it, but his ideas come to him in dreams, or like he said, he likens the creative process to dreams, and he said it's always characters first. I loved it when he said, no one in a dream ever comes in and gives you a big line of exposition, except in a Guy Ritchie dream. I'm leaving it. That's it. That's the last one.
No more Guy Ritchie talk today. There'll be no more Guy Ritchie talk for you, my girl. And he also doesn't watch TV. I think he might be the only person today who watches less TV than David Beckham.
Yeah. David Beckham, Beckham couldn't remember one of the names of his documentaries, which we've all been there. But
We will get on to David Beckham, though, I'm sure. Because should we talk about Channel 4?
yes, now that was a punchy opening. How are you, no paedophiles?
And do you know what? To be
It was
fair,
out there.
It's a catchphrase she's always had, and it's finally come in handy.
But then it was a total...
Have you ever had a meeting with her? You walk into go, hi, Richard, no paedophiles. And you have to put half your ideas away. You go, okay, no
right,
paedophiles,
okay.
I got it.
Now, then it was a huge scream because our podcast got a special mention.
I know, can you believe it?
No notes on this entire section, by the way. I enjoyed how you were used as a stick to beat, but Emma was using you as a stick with which to beat her. It reminded me a lot of one of those football press conferences where one of the football pack stands up and says, can I just say to Harry Kane, you know, Gary Neville says you're shit, you're basic, you've forgotten how to call. What do you say to Gary Neville? And it was a bit like that, but with you.
Yeah.
You were the Gary Neville in there.
And also, by the way, we've done the podcast for a year. I have snagged off like about one person in that entire time. I've never seen a fence that I don't want to sit on. You have a go at people constantly, yet I'm the one who gets in trouble
faces,
just
yeah.
for pointing out that the channel hasn't had a single hit in 5 years. Jesus Christ. Sorry, the piano.
Okay.
Forgive me. Forgive me.
I had a huge amount of time for the section in which you were described as being in the quiz business. I think in your publication, you know what, you should write a book. You should write a fucking book one of these days.
Rather than a quiz. It's not a bad idea.
You're in the quiz. Stop trying to sell quizzes.
And to be fair...
It's over. It's over for you.
To be fair...
Do something else with your life.
I didn't say to her, you should do a quiz. I said, you should have a hit quiz, because that's the easiest thing to have a hit with, and you haven't even done that. That's all that is literally all I said. And it's true. Every other channel's got one. They're not that difficult.
Are you still doing this?
No,
I love it. Listen, I'm here for
sometimes
it.
you've got to double down.
Yeah, no, you have.
This is, you know what? This is how Trump feels. I can absolutely see why he does it.
I could just say, yeah, you could. Yes, well, you haven't walked away from it, I must say.
My favourite bit was when they were asked to say, look, are you going to start creating your own IP? Which, of course, they are at some point, and we all know that they are as well. But she was saying, look, I don't want indies here to worry too much. And indies are going, yeah, we're not worried that much about you guys creating your own IP. I think we'll be okay. I think you're going to have to buy a few of us to get that done, I suspect. That's what it felt.
No, listen, yeah. No, and you've put it all out there. You've left nothing on the stage.
They're doing a grand job, though. I will say they actually are.
I'm just for your own protection. I'm going to move you on to our next panel, which was with the producer of Beckham, the documentary. He is also the star of it. I don't know, what do we feel about subjects commissioning their own documentary? It reminds me a little bit of like Renaissance nobles, and they were commissioned the art, and you see, oh, this wonderful religious scene. It's like Cosimo de' Medici crawling in the side of it. And so it's a bit like that. Now he's doing one with Victoria as well. So there's something about commissioning your own slightly religious art.
Oh, listen, we'd all do it if we could.
Yes.
Wouldn't we? That's a nice, easy commission to get. If every single head of any indie, if they could do a commission about themselves,
we'd do it.
If it got them an 8-parter on Netflix, they would do it. You know that for a fact.
I
like the fact he never watched it. He didn't watch it right from the start. He said, I didn't watch it, although he's still an exec producer. So you think that's very much an exec producer in the sort of Avalon meaning of the word exec producer, isn't it?
He loves being an executive producer.
Yeah.
I was like, I have met so many people who love being an executive producer.
Oh, it's fun to be an exec producer. I tell you what's difficult, being a producer.
It's a fascinating credit, yes. But he did seem to be someone who has fully made the jump to working in television, because he said, of making the show, I hated every moment. And I was like, oh, now you work in TV. And then afterwards, he was like, no, I didn't hate it. No, I don't want to say I totally hated it. No, at the end, I was relieved and I was happy with but no, I hated it all along. So I thought that was, he's a TV man now.
Yeah, I hated every minute and I was relieved when it was over.
Yeah.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah.
Even John McVeigh is saying, I have no further questions.
But I did think he hits he's like a politician. He has content all the time.
Oh, he's
great. And he hits his talking points. Like, if I had heard the word family, authenticity, work ethic, and no place like home once, I'd probably heard them 15 times. He hits it, it's like a politician. He should maybe be given a peerage and become culture secretary. No offense to Lisa, but you know, if God forbid we get another culture secretary, they don't like it. It's like the Al-Qaeda number 3 position where you used to have a new one every 6 months, but I'm sure not under this government. But no, but it was dead men's shoes. They were always killing Al-Qaeda number 3. Can you imagine being number 4 and thinking, yeah, I don't actually want to move up. I'm really happy at this level.
I'm actually okay. Do you know
I've
what?
built a great team, and I just don't want to.
I'm going to retrain. That's what I'm going to do. But also, if he was culture secretary, his favourite show wouldn't have been Emily in Paris. It would have been Minder.
Yeah. Yes.
Like
what television programs do you watch? I like Only Fools and Horses, Minder.
Minder, but then, you know, anything else, like anything more modern, he's thinking, what was the last person who came on? What did he make? Peaky Blinders. Yeah. That's the thing. That's the thing that I loved. So it's impressive. He turns on.
No, I loved him dressing like the shows he likes. I would actually watch his Emily in Paris wardrobe. I would be right here for it. But the Yellowstone phase and the Peaky Blinders phase, all of which you can actually see throughout if you look at lots of pictures of David Beckham, which of course I do.
We only have we have 3 minutes 36 seconds left. How did that happen? We haven't even gotten to the afternoon. I had a lovely lunch.
Lovely lunch.
At the Cafe by the
Canal. Loved Hitmakers. Loved Nicola and Andy. They were brilliant.
How has Andy Willman not got a BAFTA? Would be my question.
Ridiculous. It's a bit like Larry. It's like Larry David and Curb Your Enthusiasm with the Emmys. It's classier not to now.
It's classier not to.
I think. It's ridiculous.
That's the first time I've been classy.
But yes, and I love just Clarkson. Obviously, we're going to see the pub on TV, which I'm very excited about, and he's bought the farm. I love that he takes.
He's bought the farm.
He's bought the farm. He's bought the farm. He's bet the farm, and I want him to taking an interest in all these sectors that are down on their asses, and I really want him to buy a newspaper because I read today there's one for sale upstairs. The Observer's for sale.
No way.
I think you can have it.
Was it £2.20?
Yeah, I think it's actually. I heard it might be going free if you take on the staff. Listen, I haven't spoken to anyone in the business affairs, but Tortoise are buying it maybe.
Tortoise are buying the Observer?
Yes.
Okay. I tell you could buy the Observer, the guy from the Valuing the Industry thing, the banker.
Oh,
he was my favourite guy the whole day.
He will price you up anything. The BBC, a prize Sal. You stick it on that blog and he'll tell you how much it should cost. I loved him.
The whole way through, he's just sitting on the end with a little grin on his face saying, the size of my house in Hampshire you would not believe.
The size of my boat. My God, we could beat France with this boat. And I'm talking about the country. Yeah. He's got a navy, I reckon. I had a huge amount of time for him.
He was great. Do you know what? The interesting thing all the way through, there were a few notes of optimism today, but I noticed every single note of optimism was from somebody who owns their own yacht.
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard so much optimism in here that it will not surprise me if we go out and the entire world is on fire, literally outside of here. Everyone has said they're very optimistic.
The optimism always came from people who were used to buying fire-damaged goods. They were like, I see great future. I see there's big opportunities ahead in this business.
I loved him. So who else was in there? Oh, we've got so little time. Okay.
Oh, so I like
Richard Sharp saying, I understand Tim was very kind about me earlier. Was that everyone's read on the line? Because I was here for it. Anyway.
Yes.
Someone backstage went, yeah, Tim's been lovely about you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. He did a good gag about the last two chairmen, and you came out of it pretty well, I would say. Carolyn McCall, the only thing I have to say about that session with 59 seconds to go is the questions about Ed Balls literally interviewing his wife on GMB. And firstly, what she really wants to say is, come on, it's only GMB.
Yeah.
But the real thing she wants to say is, listen, if it's not Ed Balls, it would have been Richard Madeley. What do you want me to do?
And then we ended up with Lisa and Andy. She believes in public service broadcasting. The BBC was. I think she wanted lots more of you to maybe move out of London. I don't know. I got that vibe. I was getting that vibe.
I got the impression she's bought a lot of cheap housing around the country. She's like Robbie Fowler.
Yeah.
Yeah. If she loves Media City that much, she's very welcome to come on House of Games. I'll say that. That's what we do it.
Oh, we must end on that offer with the clock counting down at us.
10 seconds ago. That felt quick.
That went really fast.
When you think of how long some of those other sessions were.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. Thank you all so much, everybody.
You all.
And buy NordVPN. Thank you.